You're listening to the Parents of Hardworking Teens podcast, episode 47. Some bonus quick tips from my latest observations and research on how to achieve the top criteria in those larger tasks, big mark questions like extended response exam questions, assignments, reports, and essays. I'm Katie Jones, and with over 15 years in education as an award-winning high school teacher, international external examiner, and as a study coach, I've helped thousands of students skyrocket their results and confidence. And this podcast is where I share all my insights, tactics, and tips with you, the parent, so you can help your hardworking teen get happy, smart, and successful in their study, and have you both enjoy the journey along the way. This is the Parents of Hardworking Teens podcast. Hey VIPs, this is a short but high-level episode for you because I recently ran a free Facebook Live Q&A session where I not only answered parent and student questions, but also spent the first 10 minutes or so sharing a couple of key takeaways from the huge amount of research and preparation that I have been doing for the upcoming Next Level Advanced event, which is all about how to get the big marks on the big questions, or in other words, how to hit the top criteria descriptors in extended responses. So that's in high mark exam questions, like 10 marks, right up to those huge 30 mark essay questions, and in essays for assessments, in assignments, inquiry investigations, orals or speeches, and reports, and all of those other big, huge tasks that students are having to do, especially in those senior years. Now, this advanced online event is only open and only available to our Next Level members. So if your teen is a 10-week grade transformation graduate and you'd love to have them really know how to achieve the top marks, the top grade, those high-level criteria in those big and sometimes daunting questions and tasks, then you're going to want to get them in on Next Level Enrolment, which is happening on the 1st through to the 5th of May. I'm going to host a free webinar to kick off that enrollment, and that is going to be on the 1st of May. So if that describes your teen, then get on the waitlist. It's at www.gradetransformation.com/next level so that you get all of the information. Now, I've decided to create this bonus quick tips episode for you because in that Facebook Live that I delivered, I shared specific wording from the mark scheme of an extended, in fact, it's an essay response from an advanced English exam paper. And so this is definitely a higher level episode. And on the live session, I will tell you, I also had flashcards with key information on them that I shared and showed on the screen. So you can go and check the replay out of that in full on the Rock Solid Study Facebook page to get all of the visuals. So if you're not already following the Rock Solid Study page, go over to Facebook and just type into the search Rock Solid Study and you will find us. So it's up there for you, and my live sessions won't be taken down from that page. So whenever you're listening to this, you'll still be able to go and watch and catch up going forwards. So I'm going to be doing them every third Wednesday from now through to the end of the school year because I'd love to have more of that two-way conversation going with you as opposed to me always delivering my information to you one way through emails or through this podcast, which is why I'm doing them as a Q&A. So I also did, on top of what you're going to hear in this episode, I also did a whole additional 30-odd minutes of answering the questions that parents and students posted into the comments. And there were some really good ones. So you should definitely go watch the full replay for those. So many juicy topics covered there. So here I'm explaining exactly what the wording on those rubrics or mark schemes really means. What does discerning really mean? What does skillful actually mean? What it actually requires so that your teen can be better equipped and more knowledgeable in how to achieve those top criteria in those larger tasks and the big mark questions on exams. Let's dive in. Welcome to this live Q&A plus bonus tips because you know me, I can't resist sharing what, I'm working on, what I'm thinking about, what insights I've had recently. I'm Katie Jones. I am the founder of Rock Solid Study. I'm the creator of the 10-week grade transformation program. I have about 17 years now of experience in education. I started my teaching career in the UK, won a national teaching award in the UK. I started working with exam boards in the UK, and then essentially had my eyes opened through that particular work to everything that is really and truly involved in succeeding in assessments and in exams for students. And so I've continued that work, both teaching and getting as much experience with different state exam boards, styles of papers, and getting as much experience in marking as an external exam marker, in coursework moderation, as a scrutiny panel member and writing panel member. So I'm actually now involved also in the writing of the questions and the marking guide as well. So what I want to start off with, as promised, is share with you a couple of tips from the work that I've been doing recently on looking at extended response questions and tasks and the marking guide and the criteria that goes with those. Okay, now, of course, every single question and every single task has its own rubric, its own marking guide, its own mark scheme, its own success criteria. Those are all the words, and there's more as well that we hear of for how these things get marked. So use those words interchangeably. Okay, they do get given slightly different names depending on what they are for, but they mean the same thing. It's what we mark against. Because I have been doing a huge amount of research and diving in. In fact, I've got my pile here. Let me see if I can share with you some of these things. Ready for our next level event. So next level is my advanced coaching program that is just for students who have completed the 10-week grade transformation. And we have a live event coming up very soon in May. So I've been doing huge amounts of preparation because it is on coaching and training that I've never really delivered before at this level and in this amount of detail. And so here, let me see if I can fan these out nicely for you. These are just some of the mark schemes and criteria and exemplar responses and model responses and marking guides and examination reports and grade descriptors. This is from the IB. I've got A-level and GCSE from the UK. I've got the Cambridge board. I've got chemistry high-level experiment report for the QCAA. I've got HSC advanced English papers from 2022. I've got the NZQA level 3 history exemplars. There's so much that I've been going through, because if you know me by now, this is not about subject specific tutoring or subject knowledge. This is about what do they need to be putting across and how do they do it in the way that gets them maximum marks for the knowledge that they have. Okay, so for the knowledge that your teen has, how can they maximize that in terms of their marks, their grades, their results, and get the return on effort that they have been putting in? So here is what I've found. I've gone old school and I've done a few little flashcards for this because I think visuals can sometimes help. So first thing is that I'm going to be talking about these two. They're not the highest. We've got create. I'm not going to talk about that one today, but I'm going to talk about analyze and evaluate, because these are the two highest levels that we see most often. We actually don't get an awful lot of create at all, but I would say I have never seen an essay that is not at either analyze or evaluate level. And in terms of extended responses, assignments, assessments, they are almost all around this level of response. Okay, if you've not seen these before, if you've not heard me talk about command words and cognitions and levels of cognition and levels of response, then definitely make sure you sign up for a future webinar with me. I will have a couple more throughout this year. I almost always cover some element of this, and it is so critical that everybody, especially every student, but for parents as well, it's so helpful to be aware of this. So I'm going to be talking about evaluate and analyze, those high levels. So we're starting off these monthly sessions, third Wednesday of each month, going pretty high level. So stay with me here. Here is what, these are literally taken from the HSC 2022 Advanced English paper. These are the descriptors that are given. Okay, I thought this would be helpful to show you, because it literally says in the descriptions of what they need to be doing. Maybe it's analyzing the text or whatever it might be. In terms of the general descriptors, it says these 3 levels. It actually goes down another level as well, but I'm not going to show you the very bottom ones. I'm just going to show you the top 3. Appropriate, effective, and skillful. Those are their words. I've thrown in brackets what we might have used to have called this, back in the day. It would be satisfactory, good, and excellent. But here's the problem. What do they really mean? What are some of the challenges that your team finds? Or if you're a student here, tell me, what are some challenges that you find you have with extended response assessments, whether it's an extended response question and exam. I'm talking anything really 10 marks upwards as a question and exam, in essays, in assignments, in research reports, in inquiry tasks. What are some of the issues that you have when trying to get those done and figure out what they really want? Because here's what I hear from parents and to some extent from teachers as well, is they're being given, it's almost like the answer sheet. They're being told what we need to do. It's like, okay, if you do this, you're going to get an A. If you do this, you're going to get this percentage. So why can't students do it? Even though we've got the mark scheme or the rubric, what are some of the challenges that you sometimes face or see or come across when it's like, okay, we've been told what to do, but here's what I see as a challenge. And I see this even as the teacher. It's that wording can be pretty vague. It's like, what is the difference between skillful and effective? What is the difference between skillful and effective? Okay, and that's one of the things that I'm going to share with you. I'm going to go into this in so much detail at the Next Level event. So if you have a teen in Next Level coaching, you're going to get all of this. And heads up for anyone who is looking forward to the next open enrollment for Next Level. If your teen has been through the 10-week program and had huge success with it, I will keep you all up to date on the emails. So I want to share with you exactly what it says inside of the marking criteria for this extended response question. This is for advanced English. It was from a 2022 paper. This is the exact wording it says. Okay. See if this really helps. Maybe, maybe not. Sustained. What makes it skillful? It has to be sustained. It has to be discerning in the selection of evidence that the student uses in their response. And it has to have, now this is the wording I use. Okay. I talked about language and vocabulary, and I love to use the phrase quality of written communication. Okay. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about these, because I don't know about you, but we've had 3 levels now of help, if you like, of it trying to tell us what they want. What does that really mean? What does sustained really mean? We could take a guess, but it's not necessarily always clear from the outset. What does discerning really mean? And what do we want to see in high quality written communication? So first thing for sustained is that it needs to be the right length. Now, this sounds really obvious, okay? But if they are writing an analytical essay and it does not have an introduction and a conclusion and either 3 or 4 body paragraphs, that is not going to count as sustained. If they've only got 2 body paragraphs or they don't finish the conclusion, it is not going to count as sustained, okay? If they've only got a 2-sentence introduction or conclusion, unless it's a really speedy one, like a mini essay, it's not going to count as sustained. Okay, so they need to know exactly what is expected in their response in terms of the quantity, but obviously not foregoing the quality, which I'm also going to talk about. Sustained, not just the length, that would be too obvious, right? It means to make sure that everything in their essay matches their thesis statement. Nothing is going off track, nothing's starting to argue a slightly different point. It's all supporting their thesis. So it's so important they have a strong thesis statement to start off with, okay? And that requires them being able to dissect the question in order to craft a thesis that directly answers the question, okay? The other thing is that means there can be no tangents. We can't start going off on a path. We can't start talking about something that isn't related to the question. No tangents. That also means it is sustained. So next thing is the discerning selection of evidence. Here's what it needs to be. It says it needs to be detailed and well chosen. What does that mean? It means that they need to have a balance of evidence from across the text, So something from the start, something from the middle, and something from the end. They can't have all of their evidence from the opening part. They can't have all of it from the closing part. It needs to be across and show a range of knowledge from across the text. And if they're arguing different points, like, for example, if it's an evaluation level piece and they need to make a judgment, evaluate always means that they need to make a judgment, okay? Therefore, it means that they need to have balanced evidence from both sides of that argument. Now, they may have more on the side that they are arguing for, but they need to show that they've got knowledge of both sides in order to be able to make that judgment. And then finally, quality of written communication. I'm going to give you two really basic ones here that are really important in English. Spelling, punctuation, and grammar. And their word choice, their vocabulary. Are they using subject-specific vocabulary? And that can definitely go in for the more technical subjects as well, okay? And are they also using well-chosen vocabulary and language within their writing, okay, to match what it is, the point is that they are trying to make. Okay, so those are some examples of what is truly required. I'm hoping that this is making it a lot clearer for you, what is truly required for those highest level criteria in some of those tasks that require the highest levels of response. Okay, so I hope that that makes sense. So that's my little intro. That's a few bonus tips. Now, like I said, these are for high level, high performing students. Okay, so I'm just kind of opening up with something really high level today, which possibly, isn't maybe the best strategy. Maybe I should start off with the basic things and work our way up each month. But this isn't, a program in itself. This is just me sharing what I'm seeing, what I'm working on, what insights I have to share with you in this moment. Okay, so that's what these monthlies are going to be about. So you're never going to know what you're going to get. So I hope you found that helpful. Like I said, if you'd love to catch the full replay with all of the visuals and all of my answers to the brilliant questions that so many parents and students asked, then go to www.facebook.com/rocksolidstudy to watch it there. And if your teen has completed the 10-week Great Transformation Program and would love to get my full in-depth advanced training that I'm delivering on this, covering all different subjects in all year levels from year 9 to 12 or 10 to 13, then you're going to want to get them in on Next Level Coaching in our next open enrollment. It's happening 1st to the 5th of May. The live event is happening on the Sunday, the 7th of May. And yes, they will get access to the full recording if they can't make it live, or of course, just want to go and recap anything. I hope you have a brilliant day, and I'll see you back here for our regular episode when it drops on Tuesday. See you then. Hey, if you're a repeat listener, I would be incredibly grateful if you take a moment to rate and review the podcast. I'm not big on asking for these things, but I'm on a mission to help as many students and their parents as possible. And having more ratings and reviews really does help with that. It takes less than a minute to do, and it will make me love you lots if you do.